listen to our song. Loving nature's what we do, so won't you come along? We'll journey on together, sharing what we know. Looking for adventure everywhere we go. We're Pathfinders.
Good morning, Pathfinders. Welcome back. Another Monday morning, another nature investigation and exploration to go on. How are you all today? I've got a question for you all this morning. So as you come in and pop your hello into the chat, let us know what the weather is like where you are today, because this week is all about wonderful weather patterns, and we'll be observing the weather throughout this week together. So let us know in the chat, what's the weather doing where you are? Well, here we've had a bit of a muddled up week. I've had some lovely blue sky days like it is today, but I've also had a lot of rain. I live right on the west coast of Wales, so we get a lot of rain coming in and battering us. We've had a bit of flooding as well. So it's been very soggy. What about you? Sun, says Oliver. You've had a lot of sunshine. Oh, I hope that lasts for you. You can get out and about. Does anyone really like it when it does rain, though? Maybe you really enjoy going out and exploring in the wet. What about you? Let's see, Eleanor, sunny but really cold. I wonder if anyone's had a frost yet. It might be a bit early for a frosty morning, mightn't it? Maybe not quite yet. In Somerset, Eve has got cold but sunny as well. Let's have a look. We've had a storm, flooded a bit, but today is sunny, so hopefully things will dry out a bit. Let's have a look. Hannah, William and Samantha say the sun is shining at the moment, but it's cold. So it sounds like we've got a drop in the temperature, even though we've got a bit of a brighter day. Daisy's keeping everything crossed for snow. Oh, do you think we'll get some snow soon, Daisy? What do you reckon? A few more people have had, rivers flooding. Hello from, I'm trying to catch up with the chat. You're too quick for me, guys. Hello from Tian. The weather is cold and sunny. Lily is in Dubai and it's lovely and sunny there. Sunshine and rain, sunny blue skies from Zach and Forest. 1 minute it's sunny, the next minute it goes dark. Well, yeah, the weather is really changeable at this time of year, isn't it? Autumn in particular, and as we move from autumn and towards winter, that weather can be really different just from one day to the next. Lots of different weather across the world where all the Pathfinders are. Dexter and Daisy, hello to you. We are forecast snow for Friday. Do you think you'll get some? You'll have to let us know. Keep us posted, Dexter and Daisy. Let us know if you get any snow. And Emma says, sunny today, but a lot of rain in the past couple of weeks. I think we've covered a lot of the UK and maybe even other countries as well within that. Well done, Pathfinders. So keep a track on the weather this week. And that's what our whole session today is going to be about. We're looking at weather patterns and also taking a little peek at some microclimates. So we'll find out a bit more about those later, microclimates. But think about the climate of a particular area you're in. If we're talking about a microclimate, that's almost like a climate within the bigger climate. So if you go even smaller and you take just one small area, the climate can be different because of different factors, and we'll investigate a bit more about that in a moment. But first of all, let's take a look at some of the wonderful wild weather we get here in the UK.
Hi Pathfinders, welcome to our Weather Watch. Today we're exploring what the weather is usually like in the UK from late autumn through to early winter. So what's happening to the seasons? By November, autumn is coming to an end. The days are getting shorter, the air feels colder, and nature is busy preparing for winter. In late autumn, daytime temperatures in most of the UK are around 7 to 12 degrees Celsius, but as we move into December, temperatures can drop to around 2 to 7 degrees Celsius, and frosty mornings become really common. In some areas, especially Scotland and northern England, it can even fall below freezing at night. The UK is famous for its rain, and late autumn is no exception. This time of year is often wet and windy, with frequent showers and long spells of drizzly rain. This happens because the Atlantic Ocean sends in moist air that brings cloud and rain, especially to the west coast of Britain. You might also notice the wind picking up. During late autumn, Atlantic storms can bring strong gusts, heavy rain, and even coastal flooding. These storm systems are called low pressure systems, and they're quite common in November and December. As winter arrives, some parts of the UK start to see snow, usually in the north and higher areas like the Scottish Highlands and the Pennines. Further in the south, it's more likely to be cold rain or sleet. Are you hoping for a bit of snow this year? So to sum up, in late autumn and early winter, the UK weather is usually windy from Atlantic storms, wet from lots of rain and drizzle, cold especially at night, foggy on calm mornings, and always changeable. It can switch from sun to rain in just a few minutes, so there's plenty for us to investigate this week.
We heard in that video there, Pathfinders, words like high and low pressure. Do we know what that means? Any ideas on that? We hear it a lot if you watch the weather forecast on the TV, we hear it on the radio, and they'll often talk about high and low pressure and the effect that that air pressure has on the weather. But what does that mean? Let's have a little think about that then. So low pressure. When the air pressure is low, the air is rising into the sky. There's very little pressure down onto the air. So whoop, up it goes, rising into the sky. And as it rises, what happens is it cools down. And that's when the water vapor in the air can turn into clouds. Sometimes rain and storms. So low pressure generally is rising air. That rising air means clouds and rain. Low pressure means cloudy, windy, stormy weather. What about high pressure then? Flip it around and we've got the opposite. When the air pressure is high, the air is sinking towards the ground. That sinking air pushes clouds away, keeps our skies clear. So those of you that have got a sunny day today and are talking about blue skies and sunshine, chances are you've got a bit of high pressure. So our clouds are kept away. We've got a clearer sky. High pressure, sinking air. The sinking air means clearer skies. High pressure, sunny and calm weather. So how does that affect the weather patterns? Well, air moves from high pressure to low pressure, and that movement is when we get wind. The bigger the difference between that high and low pressure, the stronger the wind is going to be. The movement of these high and low pressure areas creates our weather systems like sunny days, rainy days, even hurricanes and storms. The jet stream, a fast-moving ribbon of air high up in the sky, helps steer these systems. And so if we're thinking about the UK, where most of us are, when the jet stream moves north, the high pressure can sit over the UK and we get sunny, warm weather. But when it moves south, the low pressure takes over and we get wet and windier weather. So this week, Pathfinders, have a look at some of those weather forecasts. Have a watch of one or two on the TV and see what you can learn from that. Look out for when they're talking about that high pressure or that low pressure, where it's moving in from. And you might start to notice patterns occurring. So that's a little activity we could all do this week to help us to track the weather. Now, how about a more outdoor activity? Shall we see what some of our Pathfinder Pack presenters have been up to? Yeah, I think so too. Well, first of all, we're going to join Daniel this week, who has been out and about. Let's have a look at what he discovered.
Hi, my name's Daniel. Come with me on my nature walk. These leaves are brown because they don't have any chlorophyll in them. The other green leaves have chlorophyll in them. This rain comes from the clouds form with water vapor, which is evaporating rain, and then it's the water cycle goes over and over and over again. The waterfall is running more fast because it's raining, and the more rain, the heavier it gets, and the heavier it gets, the more faster it gets. Here's fungi. This water down here is brown because the iron in it. This tree is this log of the tree got cut down, but that one fell down because you can see it's pointing, but this one's really straight. This is another type of fungi. And this one, the same type. There's spider webs here. The spiders must live here. See the water droplets? I think it's waterproof. The rings on this tree shows how old the tree is. And it's a lot of rings if you try to count them. This leaf is very big. It's almost the size of my face. You could use it as an umbrella. This tree is called a holly tree. When the leaves are higher up, they're not spiky. When they're lower down, they're spiky, so animals won't eat them. There's also berries for birds. These are wildflowers. They smell nice. Thank you for coming to nature. Bye!
Oh, what a cool swing you found at the end there, Daniel. That was brilliant. Well done. A big round of applause to you, Daniel, from me and all your Pathfinder friends. That was awesome. Thanks for taking us out and about. And if you follow Daniel's top tip, if it starts to rain, just get a massive leaf. That did act as a brilliant umbrella, didn't it? I love that. Good thinking. And lovely discoveries there of different fungi, those spider webs, that look like a perfect habitat for them in that old tree trunk. And thanks for that information as well about the holly leaves. Did you hear what Daniel said about that? The ones near the bottom of the bush or the holly tree tend to be spikier to stop animals from eating them. As you look further up the holly tree, they become flatter. That was a great fact. Thanks for sharing that. And you're getting lots of lovely well dones from your Pathfinder friends in the chat. Thanks for taking us out and about. Did you notice the river in Daniel's nature walk? How much rain there had been and how full and fast that river was flowing. And the rivers can change really quickly with a result of just maybe even half a day of rain. That can really impact on the river, as some of us have experienced this week that have had bits of flooding. Right then, let's whiz on, shall we, and have a think about how we do predict the weather. Well, what if we couldn't just turn on the TV or the radio or look at the weather app on our phone? What if we couldn't do that to predict what the weather was going to be like the next day? What did people used to do? Have a little think for me and see if you can think of any traditional weather sayings or proverbs that people say about the weather and about, oh, well, that's a sign that we're going to have rain, or that's a sign that it's going to be a lovely blue sky, sunny day tomorrow. Can you think of any sayings? And I definitely use a couple still. If I notice something in particular about the clouds or the colour of the sky even, and use that to predict the weather. So what do you think? So yes, they had to look, didn't they? They had to just look and see what they could see within that place that they were. Look and observe the clouds. Zach, that's a really good point. What are the clouds doing? Is that going to help us predict? Hamida says use a sundial. Fantastic, yeah. So that might help tell us, well, how much sunlight we had. What else? Sometimes the sky tells you that what the weather will be like the next day. So what is it about the sky? Is it the colour? Is it the cloud formations? Khadija says, yeah, look up at the clouds. Oh, this is a nice saying. It's raining cats and dogs. Yeah. I've definitely heard that one. Ezra said, red sky at night, shepherd's delight. Someone else as well has commented that one. Fantastic. Or sometimes it's sailor's delight, isn't it? Shepherd's delight or sailor's delight. Noah and Theo have heard red sky at night, sailor's delight, red sky in the morning, sailor's warning. So the delight would be red sky at night. That means it's going to be good weather tomorrow. But red sky in the morning, that's giving them a warning, perhaps. Yeah. To do with how the sun is being seen through different weather formations. So how that sun is filtering through those formations. Thanks, Noah and Theo. Lots of people saying raining cats and dogs. Do you use that? Oh, Arthur, that's a good one. Nice weather for ducks. I haven't heard that one for a while, but yeah, I've definitely heard that, meaning it's a bit rainy and wet. Foggy in the evening, bright sky in the morning. Oh, that's a new one for me. I haven't heard that one. Lots of us have heard that red sky one and about the shepherd's warning or shepherd's delight. If it rains on St. Swithin's Day, it will rain for 40 days after. Yes, that is, I have definitely heard that one. Red sky, no, I'm just trying to catch up to make sure I don't miss any. Oh, in France, we say that when the raindrops make bubbles on the ground, it will rain again the next day. Also, a shaft of light in the clouds means that rain will come. So when you see that light glinting through the clouds, like a big line striking down, that means, that rain will come. I've not heard the raindrops making bubbles and it will rain again the next day. That's a good one. So all sorts of different sayings, aren't there? Grandad says he's got creaky knees if it's going to rain. So you can rely on Grandad's knees for a weather prediction. These are brilliant. Right then, well, let's have a little look at some and just find out what they're all about. And actually, if people really could predict the weather using these sayings. What do you think? Let's have a little look. If I can find it. There it is. Right, let's have a little look.
You might have heard some old sayings about the weather, but are they actually true? Let's find out and explore the science behind these weather sayings. First up, red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. Here's what it means. When the sun sets, its light has to travel through a thicker layer of air. All that air and tiny dust particles scatter the blue light away, leaving the red and orange colours behind. So if you see a red sky at night, it usually means the sky is clear to the west, where our weather usually comes from in the UK. That's a good sign for nice weather tomorrow. But if you see a red sky in the morning, it means those clear skies have already moved east and cloudy, rainy weather might be on its way. Next one, a halo around the sun or moon means rain or snow is coming soon. This one is really clever. Those halos happen when light bends through tiny ice crystals high up in the sky, inside thin cirrus clouds. These clouds often show up before a storm when the air is getting more humid. So if you spot a halo, there's a good chance some wet weather might be heading your way. How about this one? When dew is on the grass, rain will never come to pass. Dew forms overnight when it's cool and calm and the air temperature drops low enough for water to collect on grass and leaves. That usually means clear skies, and clear skies often bring dry weather. So seeing dew in the morning, that's a sign it will probably stay dry for a while. And here's our last weather saying. When spiders spin their webs before noon, sunny weather's coming soon. Spiders like to build their webs when it's dry because moisture in the air makes their webs heavy and easier to break. So if you see lots of spiders at work early in the day, that's a clue. The weather is going to stay nice and clear. So it turns out a lot of those old weather sayings are based on real science. People didn't have weather apps hundreds of years ago. They just watched the sky, the animals and the world around them. They used nature to predict the weather.
So let's see if we can do a little bit of that this week, Pathfinders. We're going to be keeping a watch on the weather. You might even want to track the weather as we go through the week. But have a look out for those sayings as well. Look for freshly made spider webs. See if you can spot a halo around the sun or the moon. Even take a look for dew on the grass and those red skies too, and see if those predictions really work. Right then, I think it's time we headed back outside, shall we? And this time we're going to join Albert and Penny on their nature walk.
Hi, my name's Albert. Hi, my name's Penny. Hi, my name's Olive.
Hi, my name's Flavor.
We're going to be talking to you about weather. Today is Thursday, the 6th of November, and it's really warm. We're outside with no jumper and we're not cold. It's really cloudy. We can't see the sun, but it's still warm. It is late on in the day, and it has been raining all afternoon, even though it wasn't forecast. It is still warm.
It's Thursday the 6th of November. It's warm and cloudy. Right. Take a nap. Come on. Do I do it?
It's Friday, 7th of November.
Oh my God. It's warm. No, it's kind of cold, but warm. Mixed up together. We're outside on the beach with coats and jumpers on, so you can wear tops and t-shirts.
The temperature is 13 degrees. It's kind of cold, but it's not windy, and it is forecast to rain. Today is Friday, the 7th of November, and it is warm and cloudy. It's Saturday, the 8th of November.
And the leaves are falling from the tree that are around the grass.
It's really warm. We haven't got coats on and it's about 12 degrees. It hasn't rained today and there's no clouds in the sky. Saturday, the 8th of November. Today has been clear and sunny. It's Monday, 10th of November. It feels colder today, and it's been raining a lot this morning.
Today is Monday, the 10th of November, and it has been raining all morning.
It's Tuesday, 11th of November. It's been raining a lot today. It's quite cold, and the grass is wet and there's lots of leaves around. Let's make another pile.
Today is Tuesday, the 11th of November, and it's been raining a lot.
It's Thursday, the 13th of November, and it's really warm again.
I want to say I got sick. We're outside with no jumper and some trees have got no leaves on them.
It's unseasonably warm.
I got sick and blue sky with clouds all up the sky and then digging for cement. Today it's Thursday, the 13th of November. It's been really warm and sunny.
Today is Friday, the 14th of November, and the weather has been really nice. Today is really cold and very stormy. Thanks for watching our video. Bye!
Bye! That was brilliant. Oh, well done, girls. That was absolutely fantastic. You tracked the weather through the whole week, and I loved the way that you tracked it. You didn't just think about what the temperature was doing, how windy it was, whether it was raining, thinking about looking at the forecast, seeing what's going to come. That was great. And also just thinking about what clothes you're wearing is a really good indicator of what the weather's like. That's a good reminder to us, you know, because naturally we think, oh, I don't need my coat, or oh, I definitely need my jumper, or even the wellies, and nothing was stopping you getting out and about, was it, in the rain or in the wind or in the cold? And it looks like you had a busy week of adventures too, down at the beach, playing in the leaves. Fantastic. And a few Pathfinders have said, yes, we love the weather tracker. So go and do that this week, Pathfinders. Keep your own weather tracker and see if you can notice a pattern through the week of weather, what's happening. You've got some lovely comments, all four of you, from your Pathfinder friends. It was Albert and Penny, and I think, was it Olive? And I didn't catch what your little sister's name was, but well done to all of you. That was really great. The weather was all over the place. You're right, Rose and Violette. It was a very mixed week of weather, wasn't it? Right then, Pathfinders, shall we now? We've looked at some big weather and big weather patterns. And I mentioned at the start of our session, we're going to zoom in a little bit and look at some microclimates, what's happening in a much smaller area, and how tiny areas can actually develop their very own climates, which make it perfect conditions for different plants, different animals to flourish in. So let's learn a bit more together then about microclimates. What is a microclimate? Well, like I said, a small area with a different climate from the surrounding area. So think about what could change: temperature, light, humidity, precipitation, rainfall, the wind speed as well. And here's a couple of questions for you, Pathfinders. Let's think together. Can you think of different factors that could cause a microclimate to happen? So think about what factors might affect a change in the temperature. What might affect a change in the wind? What might cause more or less humidity? And also have a think about where we would find a microclimate. If we wanted to find an area that had a different climate to the surrounding area, where could we start to look? I'll give you a little bit of thinking time on these two questions. But think about, what would affect the climate in an area? What would make it more sheltered, perhaps, or less sheltered? What would make an area more exposed to the wind, for example? Have a little think. Okay, we've got a few things popping up in the chat. We get really different weather in our town to the surrounding areas because our town is in a valley and much lower down with a big river going through it. Yeah, so elevation, so how high within a sheltered valley you are, or high up on a hilltop perhaps. Yeah, so that would make a big difference to the climate, wouldn't it? Another Pathfinder in a valley. That might make a difference. Odessa says it's windier at the beach. Why do you think that is, Odessa? What do you think, Pathfinders? Why is it often quite sheltered, maybe where we are, and perhaps we drive to get to a beach and it's a lot windier? Why do you think that is? In a valley or around a lot of fields, we get a lot of bad weather. You're in Derbyshire. And Ezra, one of the higher places in Crowborough is one of the higher places in Sussex. So you get more snow in the winter. Yeah, so somewhere with a higher elevation would get perhaps more snowfall. We've got some examples of different microclimates as well here. So a greenhouse, for example, great example. And that's a human-made example, isn't it? We're deliberately creating our own microclimate within that. What effect does that greenhouse have? They're much warmer inside, aren't they? Whitby has a microclimate, Molly says. Larger surface area, no objects, says Brock. I think that's in answer to our beach question, isn't it? So why is it windier at the beach? Yeah, so more exposed area. No big buildings in the way, perhaps. No trees. So yeah, the wind can travel through more quickly, more freely. Right, let's have a little look at some causes then. So things that would cause a microclimate: shelter from the wind, like we talked about that beach example. But walls and hedges also create that shelter. So think on a much smaller scale, just the climate behind a large wall can be different from the other side of that wall, can be a more sheltered, safer place for mini bees, for example. Sun exposure as well. So how much sun an area gets. South-facing walls get more sun, or south-facing gardens are exposed to more sun. Elevation, like we talked about, some of you mentioned the valley or on top of a hilltop. Valleys are colder at night. Hilltops are more windy. Water, lakes and rivers slightly warm the surrounding areas in cold weather. So sometimes if it snowed, for example, you'll notice that the riverbanks, the snow doesn't settle as well there. So they will warm that surrounding area. An urban environment. So towns and cities are like little urban heat islands, and the temperature will always be higher in those because of all of the buildings and all of the people, all of the heating, the cars, all of that produces heat and warmth. One of my children lives in London, and their weather is always incredibly different to the weather that we have here right on the west coast of the UK where I am. So it definitely is a little urban heat island there. The ground type, grass and soil, cool really quickly, whereas concrete and brick, they hold the heat much longer. So what about this then? Have a think about where these three microclimates and what sort of animals they would be perfect for. Where would the microclimate be a good place for which animals to hang out? The edge of a wood, more sunlight than in the middle of the wood, so warmer during the day, but less sheltered, perhaps more windy conditions. Who do you think would like to spend time there? What sort of animal? Under the tree canopy, cooler during the day, but warmer at night because that heat is trapped under the canopy. And what about in the leaf litter on the forest floor? That gives a really stable temperature because it's a nice damp environment. What might like to live there? Any ideas on those? What would you put under each column? What do you think? Oh, Willow and Caden say their tortoise likes the greenhouse because it's much warmer. Oh, yes, but it's nice and cozy in there for the tortoise. A terrarium has its own microclimate. Yeah, you're trapping that heat and moisture inside, aren't you? So what do you think? In the leaf litter then, Rose and Violette say that would be perfect for hedgehogs, for snails. They would like that stable temperature, those damp conditions perhaps. What else would you put where? Which animals do you think? And think about animals, birds, mini beasts as well. What would suit which microclimate? Yeah, leaf litter, perfect for insects. I think so too. Molly agrees with that as well. Anything else that might like being under the leaf litter and the forest floor? Noah and Theo, yeah, you agree. The bugs, they would enjoy that sheltered, stable temperature. Any thoughts on the others? I'll give you a little bit longer to have a little think and a chat about it. Odessa says foxes and badgers and owls come out at night, so they like the tree canopy. Yeah, so owls, yeah, definitely sheltered place under the tree canopy and perfect for them to nest. Foxes and badgers as well. Okay, we've got ants. Ants, where do we think they would like to be? In the leaf litter, do we think? Is that where we're putting them? Let's have a little look. Well, this is how I divided it up. But there's all sorts of different animals. You could spend a bit of time thinking about this, couldn't you? So I put badgers as an example of a mammal that wouldn't mind it at the edge of the wood. Being nocturnal and being much more active through the night, more sunlight than in the middle of the wood, it means it's warmer during the day. So when they're sleeping, great, nice and warm. They don't need it to necessarily be warm or sheltered when they're out and about and busy snuffling for food at night. And quite often, I think we've looked at badgers before, haven't we? They often have two different sets, and they might have one that was closer to the edge of the wood and one within the wood. So yeah, also within the wood, they might find more shelter as well. I've put nesting birds for under the tree canopy, cooler during the day, but warmer at night. So that trapped heat at night means it doesn't get too cold, particularly for their eggs through the night. And in the leaf litter, yeah, I put a ladybird and also a hibernating frog as well. A perfect, stable, damp environment for when they go into that sort of semi-hibernation that frogs and toads do. Let's have a think then this week and keep discovering more. Perhaps you could keep a weather record or create a graph. You could design an animal shelter that takes advantage of one of these microclimates. Or you could research how climate change is perhaps affecting the UK's winter weather and therefore affecting these delicate microclimates. Right, now talking of your own investigations, I reckon it's time for a spot of the week, don't you?
Right then, Pathfinders. Or should that be Weather Watchers? It's time for our spot of the week. I'm staying close to home for our spot of the week this week because we're going to be keeping a close eye on the weather and how it changes throughout the week. You might want to use the weather tracker in your scrapbook or even make your own weather station. One of the resources I'm sharing with you this week is a make your own weather vane and rain gauge activity. And I'm going to have a go at the rain gauge. I'm ready to collect my rainwater this week. I wonder how much I'll get. It's a blue sky here at the moment, but I've got a feeling it won't last for long. Maybe we can track the rain together. See which Pathfinder has the highest rainfall. Another thing I like to do when I'm tracking the weather is to take a photo from the same point each day and notice just how much the sky changes. Here's my first photograph. You might even want to take a few photographs at different points through the day and see just within a day how much the weather fluctuates. I hope you enjoy our spot of the week this week.
So take on that challenge this week, Pathfinders, and keep a track of the weather. Let us know how you get on. How much rainfall do you catch? And what sort of pictures do you take from that same spot each day? You could include some in our sharing post. Maybe stick them into your scrapbook and share that with us, and we'll see. And then we can feed back to each other next week about the amount of rainfall that each of us got. See if we can create a bit of a view of the UK and where has been the wettest and the driest. Right then, I'm going to hand over to you guys now, I think, because it's time that we had a look at what you've been up to with our Scraptastic challenge since we all met last week. We did a woodland collage last week, and lots of you took on the challenge. Let's have a look at your brilliant creations. Well done, Pathfinders. I always love seeing your creations. They were marvellous. Fantastic work, everybody. So we need a new Scraptastic challenge for this week. And here it is.
Time for a Scraptastic challenge, and this week I'm making my own Weather Watcher dial. Not too much needed this week, just some card or thick paper, scissors, a pencil and pen, and some colouring pens, and some sticky tape too. Start by drawing 2 circles on the paper, one slightly smaller than the other, and then cut them out. Cut a slit in each one from the edge down to the centre. Now for the creative bit, draw 2 different scenes on each circle. Make the weather really contrasted in each one. Stick a small tab of paper onto the inside of the slit of your smaller circle, just like this. Then let's add some colour. And now we're ready to rotate the circles, turn the dial, and watch the weather change. I had fun with this week's Scraptastic challenge, and I hope you do too. I look forward to seeing what you get up to.
And there we go. There's my rotating weather dial. Have a little go at that this week. I'm going to put it up on my shelf. We're building up a little collection now. So have a go at that one, or do your own. You could have a circle that is divided into 4 and has an arrow pointing to 4 different types of weather if you want to do more than 2. And you could change that each day as the weather changes. Totally up to you, as always, Pathfinders. You do the Scraptastic challenge your way, and I look forward to sharing all of your creations next week. Remember to look out for the sharing post in our Facebook group. Drop your photos below there, and that's how to get them into the sharing video. So let's have a quick look at our checklist for this week. Of course, update your scrapbooks, and you can always feel free to share them in our sharing posts each week as well. Share a page maybe of what you've been up to, because it might help inspire another Pathfinder, give them some ideas for what to include in their own scrapbook. I've also included in our links this week, and you can find them all on the link attached to this video, a section about microhabitats. So think about those microclimates that we looked at. Take somewhere like a fallen log or the leaf litter and have a think about what sort of animals you might find there, or what sort of conditions are in that microclimate. And here's the weather vane and rain gauge craft that I showed you earlier in our Spot of the Week video. So this is how to create those, whether you're collecting the rainfall or you want to make a weather vane. And also I've shared this week a little weather and climate crossword puzzle for you to do. And when you've completed it, you could add that to your scrapbook too. So our checklist for this week, we're going to be weather watchers. We're going to investigate further, maybe set up a weather station, or do some weather tracking. Have a look at microhabitats and microclimates, create a fun fact file, and make a weather wheel or a weather dial for your Scraptastic challenge. I hope you enjoy all those activities, and I'll see you again when we meet right back here next Monday for another Pathfinders. Have a brilliant week in nature, everyone, and I'll see you again really soon. Thanks for coming today. See you soon. Bye.
Enjoy golden autumn sunsets. Discover seeds upon the ground. On our Pathfinder adventures, there are so many treasures to be found. We'll journey on together, sharing what we know, looking after nature everywhere we go. See you soon, Pathfinders.